He says that if you legalize, the black market goes away. Now, this doesn't make sense to me because you've got the illegal sellers out there right now ignoring the medical marijuana laws, and the medical suppliers were just talking to the legislature about how much the illegal sellers are cutting into their business. So if you're a businessman and you say, whoa, look at there, you legalize marijuana, recreational, you've got a huge new market. Yep, and the illegal sellers will say, oh, but there's a law against me selling. I'm just going to go away then because they passed a new law. That's not true, and it certainly hasn't been true in the states that have legalized. Estimates are that illegal sales are at least 3 to 4 times that of legal sales in the states that have legalized. And what does that mean? When you've got the black market there, that means increased drug usage, hard drugs, and no surprise there because marijuana is a gateway drug. ER statistics show that in Colorado, admits for opioid use and for methamphetamine have gone up since legalization, not down. So you've got additional crime, you've got human trafficking. All you have to do is go to Denver and take a look. Now in Colorado, they had the option to opt out. So some of the communities in Colorado, 60% of them opted out. That's not an option for South Dakota in this bill. And I think that each community should be able to choose whether they want to opt in or out. Let's talk about traffic problems. 25% of regular users admit to driving impaired every day. Every day. 60% say they drive impaired occasionally. That's who's going to be on the roads with you and your grandkids and your kids if you legalize recreational marijuana. Let's talk about the workplace. In the states that have legalized, tests for workers are going up for positivity. And those that test positive are 55% more likely to have industrial accidents and 75% more likely to have chronic absenteeism. That's who's going to be working with you and your kids and your grandkids if you legalize recreational marijuana. This does hit the kids hardest. Very few studies show a decrease in use. Almost all of the studies show significant increase in young users when it's legalized because the perception of harm is gone. The state has authorized the use of it. And a significant number of kids in Colorado say that they obtain their drugs from their parents. Accidental exposure for toddlers has skyrocketed in states that legalize. I don't know if any of you saw the Focus interview on KEVN the other day. If you didn't, please watch it. Dr. Lori Strong out of Rapid City testifies movingly about the kids she's been treating for these accidental overdose. Because you've got gummies, you've got Pop-Tarts, you've got cookies and candy. Well, the kids are going to eat that. And these kids are out for 4 days because their little bodies can't take that. They're being airlifted to Denver for treatment. And you're seeing increased use among teenagers. In addition, and for babies whose mothers are using during pregnancy and breastfeeding, we are seeing a syndrome very similar to fetal alcohol syndrome. So these kids have lifelong problems with learning, emotional control, etc. And finally, and this surprised even me, I gotta say, but I printed out the sheet out there. Texas is the only state that keeps track of substance abuse or use with child abuse deaths. 60% of child abuse and neglect deaths in Texas are substance use related, and the number one substance that those people use is marijuana. Okay? And why is that? Well, marijuana, today's marijuana is not yesterday's marijuana. You're talking about THC content that is sometimes as much as 20 times what it was in the 70s. So you have a significant increase relation to violence, paranoia, personality changes. It is the number one cause for psychosis admissions that are drug-related in California. Number one cause. We see permanent brain damage to young users by MRI. And even in adult users, 25% decreased neurocognitive function. These people struggle with lifelong depression and anxiety. It is the #1 drug associated with teen suicides in Colorado. It's got a 30% use disorder rate. 30%. That's higher than alcohol. It also increases your heart attack and stroke risk. Nobody talks about that. The studies are showing 60 to 80% increased risk. And in the ER admits for young people, teenagers, and young adults, 47% increased risk of heart arrhythmias. Worse lung damage by CT than you see with cigarettes if they're smoking it. Increased risk for testicular cancer, ALL, etc. I think you can see this is an incredibly dangerous drug. And there's really no benefit to South Dakota. You're not going to make a huge amount of money from this drug. Please, please, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, vote no on Initiative Measure 29. To the state of South Dakota.